to this point in my life last year, the Hurricane Maria happened on the island. So 9 months without any light. Then on top of that, we got then on top of that there was 3 months of corruption. Then on top of that there was an earthquake for 3 months. Then on top of that we got COVID. That would make any person insane, but we endure.
You just
every day I endure.
To catch a break.
No, we can't catch a break. So what happens? In my life, I'm trying to get things out of my head, and I'm trying to think of other things. So I find this podcast on YouTube, the Misfit Nation podcast, and they're talking about conservative views, and I'm moderate. I'm not left or right. I'm just right in the middle of everything. And they're talking about conservative views, and they tell me to leave a voicemail. So I leave a voicemail. I talk about the earthquakes and what happened in Puerto Rico. Since they're a satirical comedy podcast, they make fun of it. I was like, okay, but they're laughing. So I'll do another one. And then another voicemail came, and another voicemail came. And after 6 voicemails, even the host is like, look, this guy's calling way too much. He's trying too hard. Let's bring him on an interview, and let's see what we're talking about. So I had my first interview, and I was with him. With the title was what's wrong with Krishan the Don, and we talked about Columbus, and we talked about the colonization of Puerto Rico and how it happened. Columbus. Yeah, and how history is painting him one way, liberals are painting him another way, and I talk about the middle. I talk about the part that, yes, Christopher Columbus was a piece of crap, yes, and he had a lot of debt, yes, but he wasn't the main purpose of almost extinction of the Puerto Rican race. He wasn't the purpose of child slavery that's been documented. So I talked about that.
Spain's word doesn't come up. Wasn't Spain backing him up?
No, Spain was backing him up because Italy was not backing him up because he was known to have debts.
Which means Spain would furnish with finance.
The thing that people don't want to talk about is that he went to America. I mean, he went to the Caribbean and found it. Came back, gave him all the gold. Went back again, promised more that he could offer. Came back with nothing. Was in jail for a year. Now, the part that no one really wants to talk about is that Spain let him go. Spain jailed him, and then a year later let him out because Christopher Columbus, being a piece of crap, was smart. He was the only one that knew how to get back to the Caribbean. So you needed him to go back to make more money.
Gotcha. He had the mental map.
Yeah, exactly. He never wrote anything down. He always had everything by the stars and by the currents.
Oh my God. So yeah, he made himself valuable.
Yeah. But what I did talk about was Columbus's brother. That's where the real atrocities came in.
Really? I've seen no history book mentions it. Me personally, I'm fascinated with history. I read about, what was like 1500s, 1600s.
Yeah.
When we're talking about happening. And I've never heard of talking about Christopher Columbus's brother. So please tell me about that.
He had 2 brothers. His brother was a lieutenant, and then his other brother was basically the owner of the Dominican Republic.
Oh, so a wealthy man.
Exactly. He stopped there first, Columbus, and then went to Puerto Rico second, because then he heard of the rumors of that there's gold in the mountains, which there is. So after he went the second time, that's where it's not pastor, but I think it's Saint Bartolomé de León. He was the only one that stood up and said, "This is going bad. Christopher Columbus Brothers is doing I've seen the records here that people here on the own island have records of Christopher Columbus's brother cutting off people's hands because you don't got gold, using child slavery as a means of business for them. And everyone's focused on, Christopher Columbus did this. No, Christopher Columbus was the key, but his brother was the door. He was the real thing. So I talked about that. So after talking about that, I started my YouTube channel. I started talking in Spanish at first. I was like, I'm going to talk in Spanish. And the reason I talk in Spanish is this. 4 or 5 years ago, there's a YouTuber here named Mi Pana Guillito. I'll write it down right here. And his style is like my style in the sense of this. He said everything about the life. He said everything about Puerto Rico, the politics, the women, the abuse of women, the massacres. But he said it in a way that was more relatable to the people on the street. But he died because he kept putting his hands in places that he wasn't supposed to be in. And I felt bad for that. And he was almost at it. He's dead, and he still has 500,000 subscribers on his channel.
Half a
Still dead.
million?
500,000 subscribers on his channel right now, and he's been dead since 2014.
Who technically manages that channel and has the rights to that, I wonder?
No one. No one. He was the
Wow.
only one that trusted it himself. So when he died, he was the only one that knew the password. So it's locked forever.
Oh, wow.
It's sad. And it's sad because all the royalties that the family lost because of that, because there's no password. But then what happened? I was always inspired by him because he said the truth.
Mm-hmm.
He always said the truth, whether you liked it or not. He talked about the politics, how crappy it was, how corrupt it was. So when I did the Christopher Columbus thing, I'm going to talk like Spanish like him. I'm going to say unfiltered things, but I didn't like it. I didn't like me going to the side of myself that I can easily go. The angry hood part of my language, hood part of me.
No, you're good.
So I tried different things. I luckily, and this is how life works in funny ways, my ex-girlfriend's my therapist. So as talking to my ex-girlfriend, who is also my therapist, and we're super cool with each other, super great person. Shout out to Michelle. You know who
there
you
you
are.
go.
She helped me and kind of molded my channel. It's like, look, what do you want to talk about? Like, what's in your head most of the time during the day? Like, I'm usually thinking about my history. I'm usually talking about the atrocities of the world. I'm usually thinking about emotions and how people want to then do that. Sit down and try that and just see if it works. That's, like you said, that's the purpose of YouTube. Trying and see if it works. There's always there's 9 billion people in the world. If I made a video right now of me grabbing a Batman doll and just doing this for like 5 hours, someone's going to like it. It's weird, but someone is going to like it.
That's true. And as a matter of fact, these days, you can actually become the world record holder of, let's say, doing this. Just like you said.
That's it.
And soon, with this cryptocurrencies and everything going on, they're going to be able to create digital assets with that half a second art.
Yeah.